Tata. Clearly, it seems that the bulls are back in action in today's session, with Nifty trying to inch towards it's already up above the 19,800 levels, but now hovering around those as well. But it's interesting to see how Bank Nifty is not supporting in today's session. In fact, last two trading sessions, we have seen a sell-off that is coming in from the banking pack. Interesting moves today with the advanced decline ratio as well in favor of the bulls. To discuss stock-specific action, joining us on the show is Ashish Kapur. Ashish, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Ashish, my first question to you is it's a pleasure to have you as well. Ashish, let's start with the Tata Motors because that's the stock of the day that everyone is talking about. Firstly, from an earnings perspective, and secondly, with regards to the corporate action announcement on the delisting of the DVRs. What's your view and how are you seeing the arbitrage opportunity taking the way both the counters are now, performing?
Well, I think that arbitrage opportunity was really if somebody could foresee what was happening yesterday. I mean, market is pretty quick to react on these things. But yes, it's a positive move because I think it creates, it kind of does away with the, anomaly of having two shares being traded and, all kinds of, speculation and arbitrage kind of happening unnecessarily. So that way positive. Otherwise, the results were very good. In fact, the company has turned around very well and very smart growth in profit and various other parameters also. And very good numbers coming from nearly all the segments. I mean, even the JLR numbers are very encouraging. The stock has really run up a lot, but I think clearly there is more scope. I think once the news gets digested and settled with the DVR coming into the shares, I think there is obviously not going to be such a growth of what has happened over the last 3 years. Last 3 years is actually hard to believe, but it's a large cap which has almost gone up 9 times from the COVID lows. Of which that kind of return we're not expecting now again. But it's with the turnaround happening and with the good numbers being projected forward, I think the stock will continue to do well and will be a market outperformer. And I think on any declines should be bought.
Right. That's with regards to Tata Motors. Moving on, you have L&T as well, which reported numbers. One of the top gaining stocks in today's session, and the 10,000 crore buyback that has been announced. My first question is, what should an existing investor do? Participate in the buyback or continue to hold shares to see the wealth creation that has already happened so far?
Well, I think continue to stay hold. I think the company is now getting its act together after many years. I mean, there was a long period when L&T wasn't doing well. I think it's now finally started doing well. Results are very encouraging. So I think this trend of good performance will continue because there's a lot of capital expenditure happening in the economy. And that will benefit L&T. So I think the set of numbers were very good, and I think this will continue going forward at least for a few quarters more. So stay invested. I think there is far more upside left. The buyback is encouraging because it is helping improve the return ratios for the company. That's an encouraging thing for the shareholders, and therefore you should stay invested to participate in the better performance going ahead.
Right. That's with regards to L&T. Moving on, you have SBI Life that reported numbers as well. What do you make of the quarter and what's your view?
Sorry, come again. Which one?
SBI Life.
Okay, SBI Life also I think seems very interesting. Numbers were good. Also, I think what has really happened is for whatever reason, insurance as a sector has been really underperforming. Results have been encouraging. So I think life insurance should come back, get its act together soon. And I think SBI Life was earlier also doing well. I think this lull performance should end soon and it should get its mojo back. So SBI Life is, I think, going to be a good opportunity to buy at this stage.
Right. Bajaj Auto from the Auto Pack has reported numbers as well. And it's interesting to see. Yes, there has been a miss as compared to what the street was estimating, but clearly there is some bit of a turnaround that's happening in terms of the export market, and it seems the exports are bottoming out. What do you make of a Bajaj Auto from here on? Do you think good entry levels now?
Well, I think for the moment, I would like to avoid the two-wheeler space. I think for whatever
Hmm.
reason, I mean, in Bajaj Auto, I think it's more to do with the international markets being sluggish. Though you're right that there is some sign of turnaround there, but I think the international markets might remain sluggish or might take a long time to really start improving. And since there's a significant part of their earnings comes from exports, avoidable. Again, even the two wheelers like Hero Motocorp, which is focusing on domestic market, has also not been doing too well. So for whatever reason, the two wheeler space is by and large, I think, avoidable. I think the focus should be on the four wheeler space, which is doing very well. So I think when you have a better option available, for the moment, I think Bajaj Auto can be avoided. I think, like we mentioned about Tata Motors, I think even Maruti and M&M are doing very well, and any declines there should be used to buy. So I think clearly my focus is to try and buy into the four wheelers for the moment and avoid two wheelers.
Right. So avoid two-wheelers is the word coming in on that front. Moving on, Jyoti Laboratories reported numbers yesterday, two consecutive sessions of some smart gains coming in terms of Jyoti Laboratories. What's your view?
Well, I think there are the company is showing definite signs of a turnaround, and operating EBITDA margins and operating profit has grown very smartly. I think the stock is set to now continue its performance going forward, and I think after a long time we are seeing very definite growth and very positive numbers from this company. So I think there is definitely more room on the upside. You can continue to hold and use declines to buy.
Right. Olectra is another one I wanted to speak to you about. Yesterday's session, we did see some bit of profit booking that did come in today. Again, some smart moves in terms of Olectra. And it's clearly on the kind of order wins that we've seen in the recent past for this company. Last 6 months, if you see more than double, 1.5 times is the kind of returns that we've seen on Olectra. Is it time to book profits, or do you think it's still a good window to hold?
I think it's still a good window to hold. Perhaps you should not buy now. I think wait for declines. But clearly, the electric vehicle buses, the segment on which they are focusing on, has a huge scope going forward. I think the game is just about started, and I think there are just two major players like Toyota and JBM Auto. So both of them should do well. I think the return ratios are also improving. The stock, of course, has run up a lot, so it wouldn't make sense to buy now. But if you have been lucky enough to buy at lower levels, continue to stay invested and use any declines to buy.
Right. Use declines to buy in terms of Electra. And if you already have Electra in your portfolio, continue to hold the same as well. Canfin Homes has been trading under pressure. Housing finance companies have been in focus as well. What's your view on a Canfin Homes?
Well, I think Canfin Homes also the results have been pretty good. The disbursements have grown up, and I think the loans on all fronts the results are pretty positive. The loan growth is good. The mortgage recovery, everything is looking quite positive. The run up has been fairly significant here again, and I think the stock is correcting. One should wait for lower levels before entering. It's otherwise good, but I think the run up, because the run up, I would suggest you want to wait for a decline before entering.
Right. Suzlon is another one, Ashish. The profits have plunged 96% on the back of which there has been pressure in terms of where the stock goes. How are you looking at a Suzlon? Because it's been an absolute volatile ride when it comes to this company. However, recently we did hear of a couple of orders as well, because now execution is absolutely key, and the kind of market share it has in the segment it operates is also pretty on the larger side.
Well, Suzlon, I don't think at this price makes any sense. I think Suzlon was a kind of a penny stock, which
Hmm.
was a high risk, high return kind of situation. When it was less than 10 rupees was obviously great, but even after 10, I think up to 13, 14 rupees, it could make sense too, because the risk reward was still looking favorable. I think one should wait for declines. Any decline below 15, one can consider, entering into Suzlon. But clearly, see, I'll tell you the thing here is that the product is still very good. Their product feedback from the market is very good. Their turbines do very well and have very good acceptability in the market. The market itself is growing very well. The wind turbine market is doing very well and will continue to grow for many years. So the market is growing, the product is good. The problem is their the trust in their ability to manage things. The company earlier had a lot of corporate governance issues and a huge amount of debt. A lot of the debt has been restructured, and because the promoter passed away last year, there's also a relatively new management in place. There is hope that things, might turn around from here, because if the restructuring happens and if they do improve their corporate governance, then the market and the product both are looking very good. So that is a reward story. Risk is that if the past repeats, then again it will collapse. So it's a very high risk, high reward kind of situation. If everything goes well, so non on and if whatever projection one can do can even multiply from here. But if one should be ready to take that kind of a risk, suitable only for investors who have a very good risk appetite and are looking for stocks which can multiply but have some risk on them. Again, but even for those investors, I would say wait for a decline. If it get it close to or under 15 rupees preferably, that will be a fairly good risk reward paradigm at that time, at that point of time. That time you can consider, but clearly an avoid for conservative investors, because it's very difficult to project numbers on this and to understand how the company will perform going forward. So only for risk investors comfortable with risk, not for risk averse investors.
Right. And the last of Ashish I want to discuss with you is the Triveni Engineering. They've reported numbers. What's your view?
I think the numbers are very good. Sugar as a space itself looks very exciting. I think it's taking a break after the run up over the last few years. I think the ethanol story is very much alive. It's going to continue doing well for many years going forward. So I think Triveni itself is a good buy. I think it should be looking for buying opportunities here, and I think over a period of time it will do very well. Even from here, I think it can give you very great capital gains going forward.
Right. So that's with regards to where individual stocks go. Thank you so much, Ashish, for joining us on the show and sharing those views on individual counters. But clearly, the bulls are in action in today's session, and clearly, taking expiry also into consideration, it's going to be interesting to see how the day and the week pans out. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching, and lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to
Thank
BT
you.
Prime.